very little self-discipline. So there we go. So I will be, anyway, on YouTube, Alpha Media YouTube page. Somebody got some pink banners here for some reason. I don't understand why. I'm not. That's not my favorite color, pink. I don't know. I don't know. Anyway, big night for the Republicans last night. Big night again. What we know is the country is evenly divided, but Iowa's definitely red. Uh, uh, the Republicans could have done better nationally if it weren't for Donald Trump, frankly. I mean, who puts up candidates like Mehmet Oz and Herschel Walker? I mean, Herschel Walker was a great football player. I remember him mainly as being the player the Vikings traded 5 of their players to the Dallas Cowboys, thinking that Herschel was the second coming and that Herschel would take him to the Super Bowl in the early 90s. And none of that happened. As a matter of fact, Dallas took their trades and the people they got from the Vikings and made some other trades and got some draft picks. And in a few years, Troy Aikman was taken into the Super Bowl back to back, and the Vikings are still floundering around to this day. So I guess the I guess the takeaway is the Dallas Cowboys are better horse traders than the Minnesota Vikings. It's the only thing I can think of. Jake Hall of the Iowa Standard will be with us in the next hour, and I believe Senator Tim Kreinbrink will be here as well. I got a hold of Austin Hayek by text to congratulate him on his win over Tommy Coleman. It's almost too bad that we couldn't had both those younger men win. Tommy Coleman and Austin both are real decent people, real outstanding citizens of our area, and it's too bad they both couldn't have taken office somewhere in the county. But as it turns out, Austin was the winner, and all the best to Tommy Coleman. And we look forward to good things from Austin Hayek. And Nikki Conrad, of course, was reelected to the Board of Supervisors for another 4 years. I also sent Nikki a congratulations and offered to let her come on to talk about her victory today. Haven't heard back from her on that. I mean, there's no requirement. What can you say other than I won? But I thought I'd offer it anyway just in case either of the victors wanted to comment, and maybe they think it's unseemly. Maybe it's like, I won, and I'm going to rub my opponent's face in it. I don't see it that way at all, and maybe that never crossed their mind either. I don't know, but thank God the election's over. And I heard Jennifer Conference last night say something that all normal human beings hate to hear. Jennifer Conference, of course, is a leader of the Democratic Party here in Iowa. And she said the 2024 campaign starts tomorrow morning. So as far as the Democrats are concerned, and probably the Republicans, are already planning the next campaign. Some big names fell. I'll tell you, I didn't know if Brenna Bird could take down Tom Miller. She did, but then again, Miller's been asking for it. In his last several years, he's been acting kind of like a partisan, probably from pressure from real partisans in his party to fight back against Republicans, because they always want to. The parties just want to fight. That's really all there is to it. The parties just want to fight. So Miller did that. As a matter of fact, he started suing Trump, and he started getting in the way of legislation, and Governor Reynolds and the legislative body here in the state of Iowa actually passed a law preventing Mr. Miller from doing that any longer. So, which was right and correct. I don't know what he thought he was doing. And Brenna scored some big points on him. If her commercials were right, if he indeed did turn loose a rapist because he became transgender. I never really searched for the primary source of that story, but it's a wild one. I'll tell you. He didn't deny it. Let me put it that way. Mr. Miller didn't deny it. I'm sorry for Jake Chapman down in Adel. He is the one who the Democrats held up to scorn because he wanted to throw school teachers in jail. Well, I'll tell you, Iowa has obscenity laws and child pornography laws. And as a matter of fact, some school administrators and even school teachers in the state of Iowa may be prosecuted under the new Brenna Bird administration for showing pornography to very young children. I think it's going on here in Fort Dodge. They're very quiet about it. It's like they're like the Biden administration on immigration. You wouldn't think that 5 million people have come across that border just in the last couple of years, but they have. And Biden and his DHS director Mayorkas say the border's under control. The border's under control. It's ludicrous. It's fantasy. It's a flat out lie. And those who defend the pornography, child pornography in our schools, should be ashamed. By the way, I saw a little debate last night. I shouldn't say debate, but a couple of different attitudes on critical race theory. There was a white teacher, male teacher, and he said he didn't think he should be teaching critical race theory because it hurt white children. The purpose of it was to shame white children, which it was, of course. Well, immediately, yes, overweight black women. Why are all teachers in these interviews always overweight? The white guy was a fat guy, and then this overweight black woman said, well, nobody was worried about how black children were being affected. So if these white children are being hurt, well, she pretty much said too bad, which is mean, just petty, mean, and vindictive, and shows you where they're at. It's not an education. It's a perverse, warped, upside down, and twisted attempt to guilt white children into submission. And we should not allow it. And hopefully, with an energized Republican Party in Iowa, maybe we will throw a couple of teachers in jail as an example. It wouldn't bother me in the slightest, by the way, if they're showing these sorts of things and if they're intentionally being cruel to children because they're white. I wouldn't put up with it if a teacher was being cruel to children because they're black. I mean, we got rid of those teachers a long time ago. So if you're a teacher and you're intentionally being cruel to white children, you should face consequences. Keith Dinklaw, the director of Fun, has joined us, and we will talk with Keith right after the news. Keith disappointed everybody by not running, for at least another term, or creating a new department in the courthouse as director of Fun. Yeah. Yeah, that would have been really fun. Yes, it would have, as a matter of fact. So we'll talk with Keith here in just a little bit. This is AM 1400 KBFD. Now is current county supervisor Keith Dinklaw, also known as the Doctor of Fun. How you doing, Keith?
Good.
So
I'm here.
You should explain yourself. Why are you abandoning us to people who aren't fun?
I'm not abandoning you. I've been a supervisor.
You think Austin's going to be fun? Austin's a good guy, but is he fun?
I don't know if he's going to have as much fun as I did. But, both those candidates were very good candidates. We're lucky to have the two that ran.
Yeah,
and really they ran a really good race.
They did.
They didn't go back and forth like everybody else does. It was a clean race. Austin won. He'll make a great candidate.
I think he will.
Yep. He'll be fine.
Yeah. Nikki was reelected.
Nikki was reelected. She was kind of had a nail biter there, she thought, but I figured she'd win.
Well, I thought she would too, but
Yeah.
Reggie Simmons, who I never really got a chance to talk to.
And neither did I. I've only talked to him like once
Yeah.
at one of the Republican things, and that was it.
Well, he did a lot better than I thought he would do.
Well, he did a lot of knocking on doors too. He worked.
Well,
hard.
that's what I understand.
Yes, I guess he knocked on a lot of doors and made a lot of contacts, and that's what it takes.
Well, Brooke and I both offered to have him on the air, but he wouldn't do it. He told Brooke that he'd be on the air after the election.
Really?
I don't know
He
why
missed an opportunity there.
Yeah, I don't know why he'd want to talk to us or to Brooke
Yeah.
after the election, but maybe he's got something he wants to
Well,
explain.
you still should go before.
Yeah,
Get
to
your name
Edward.
out- get your name out there.
Yeah, I had Nikki on.
What an opportunity! You take every opportunity you can to get in front of people
Exactly.
if you want to win an election.
And I brought Nikki over.
Yep,
she came over
on a couple times.
Yeah, to explain why she.
I think Austin was on too, or not?
Austin.
not,
Austin was.
Austin was on. The Coleman was on.
Cole. Well, I didn't have Tommy on.
Didn't you really?
I think Brooke had him on.
Oh,
but
okay.
I didn't.
Okay.
Brooke's out there.
Yep, she's out there hitting the campaign. Pretty
Yeah,
hard. She does a great job.
She likes that.
She does a great job.
She does.
She really does.
She
You're
really
lucky
does.
to have her here.
All right. So you sure you know what you're going to do after January?
No,
when you
I'm
step
going to
down?
really, I thought I wasn't going to miss it, but I really am going to miss
You
it.
already missed it.
I'm going to
huh?
have to find something to do in the morning and get up and do something. And I'll probably do more golfing next year and maybe
Do you golf a lot?
a little bit. I golfed a little bit this year, but I'm going to do more next year.
Well, I don't know. What do I'm getting?
What do you got there?
I'm getting messages on StreamYard.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
what's he doing on there? No, they'll do a good job, and it's time
should we
for me to
should we start
retire.
golfing?
Yeah,
Maybe I'll retire with you
That's
next
right,
year, and we'll go golfing.
16 years, and I'm 70 years old, and I
Are you
figured,
70?
Yep.
By God, that's old.
I figured if I did 4 more years, my mouth was going to get me in trouble. I would say something wrong because I have a small filter.
Oh, you can't be intimidated.
I
like
know,
that.
yeah,
My
but,
son and I talk about like that. You can't let people.
But anymore, you got to watch what you say wherever you're at,
Why?
because they'll just take it different.
They
and
want
you're
to
in
take
trouble.
it that way anyway.
I know, but I would have probably never lasted 4 years.
the
The way it's going.
Well,
the way
once
it's
you
went
get
last
elected,
years. That don't matter. You're in
What,
for 4
what, are they,
years.
what are they gonna do? Kick you off the
No.
council for being Keith Dinklaw?
No, they wouldn't have.
You know.
No, I had a great time doing it. I had a lot of fun. I was really fortunate that once I won, the Democrats said as long as I was going to run, they would never put anybody against me. And they stood by their word and didn't.
Mhm.
So I appreciate them for that.
Well, because you'd kill him in your
No,
district.
well, yeah.
Who-
You know, it-
what kind of Democrat are they going to find out in your district
It
to
was-
run against?
It was nice running on
What, you're
unopposed.
related to everybody in your district.
That's right. And it was nice running
Mm.
unopposed. You don't know how lucky you are when you run unopposed because it's a lot of work
Yeah.
and a lot of time and a lot of money if you're running a campaign. I mean,
Yeah.
it really is.
And you never had to spend that kind of money. or time.
No, just put a thank you note at the end.
Just went to the
That was
family
it.
reunion.
I went to the family reunion, asked everybody to vote for me, and that was it.
Hey, doggone it. I think they had a Badger thing up at the Badger Church, Lutheran Church. I think
Oh, they had a
dinner there.
Lutefisk thing.
Lutefisk. Yeah, I
Lutefisk,
missed it.
yeah.
I usually go.
I ate that a couple times, and it's just not my cup of tea.
Oh,
Yeah,
it's not really mine either,
no,
but it's nice to
it's-
go.
yeah,
See the
yeah.
people,
Yep, and that's a big deal. I mean, they start serving at 4, and it goes till they run out. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a big deal up there.
But I tell you, I did go, and thanks to everybody at the Congregational Church again this year, they had an election day soup supper, soup and
Yep.
pie and stuff. I went out there, man.
They're
that
always
was-
good. Them churches.
they
The pies
really-
are great. The desserts
Oh.
are excellent.
God, you love it. you
Yep,
know.
it is a good camaraderie with everybody. No, it's good to go to that stuff when you can.
They had 3-4 different kinds of soup and different kinds of sweets. And,
15 different kinds of pies. And
yeah, a
cake
lot of
and-
stuff.
yep,
Cake
and
and
it's
all
all
that.
good.
And it's all good.
All great.
And sat with Dawn over at the city and Ann Halber. I hadn't seen those two girls in a long time, and it was, it's a nice,
Yeah.
nice affair. I try to get over to Corpus Christi Center when they have the fish fries too.
Yeah, they just had one of those last Friday night or the Friday
Yeah,
before.
I missed that one, but
Everybody said it was pretty good.
they're always good.
Yep.
And I go not necessarily for the fish, but to
Yeah.
see people. I even saw our friend Mike Olson over there.
There you go.
Who's definitely not a Catholic.
No. So things are going good at the county. The conservation's got the trail just around Badger just about done. They're doing some seeding and stuff. That's a little behind because of the bat tree. They found some bats in the tree, so they had to stop working on it.
Well, there's bats all around.
I know, but it was right in the middle of where we got to work. So they couldn't move the tree.
They couldn't move the tree because of the bats. They're living in there.
Yep. So that kind of slowed the
bats
thing
are
down.
an endangered species.
Oh, that kind of bat was. It was their nesting season or something.
Really?
Yep. So
what kind of bat was it?
No idea. It was a special bat.
It was a special bat.
A special bat. So that slowed it down a couple months.
Man.
Yeah,
you've seen those bats.
A couple months, but that's getting completed. That's going to be a real nice addition to the trails. It's going to be the blacktop trail all the way around the lake. We got the lake all drained, and they're got the fish all
Badger
killed.
Lake, you're talking.
They're going to restock it next spring after they're going to do some trenching in there, put some fishing jetties in, try to get some of the silt out of it.
No kidding.
Then they'll fill it back
wow.
up and they'll restock it with good fish because it was just all rough fish now.
Yeah.
So that's a good thing. The center down by the river is going well. They're working on that right now. We approved some money for Jensen to get started on that. So that's going to take about a year to finish, probably a year and a half, but that's going to be a big addition to the city and the riverfront.
One of the fish I really like is walleye.
Oh yeah.
I love those. Yeah, it is. Are we going to stock Badger Lake with any walleye? Can walleye be sustained out there?
I'm sure they'll have walleye in there. They'll have bass and walleye and bluegills and crappies. And I'm sure
bluegills are good too. Yeah. And the panfish.
Oh yeah.
They're really good.
Yep. So walleye's great.
Walleye's great. Yeah. A couple of times I went up to Boundary Waters with some guys. And
so I did ask Doreen and Tina about the special election we got to have. And man, that's a process. She started explaining to me what has to happen. And I'll have to have them come over and explain it.
Yeah.
It's just way too confusing.
Yeah.
First thing's got to happen is the city's got to accept it Monday night.
Right.
Look at the petition and accept it. And they got to accept it and then bring it over to us. And then we got to set some dates. And then, you see who's going to run. If you get more than 2 people running, then you got to have a primary and that takes time. Then after the primary, then you got to have a general election and that takes time and so much time between each one.
Yep.
I mean, it's going to be a process.
Well, the mayor called me last night. I asked him to call in, and he went over it. Matt knew more about it than David Tricker I did.
Yeah.
And so the way it sounded, by the time it was all said and done, after an election was finally held, if there's more than 2 candidates, for example, if there's 3 candidates, they're going to have the primary and all that. By the time they have an election, it'll be late in the summer. Time for another election.
Yeah, that's what's going to happen. Somebody gets elected is only going to be on for 2 or 3 months. 4 months. That's too bad, but that's the way it is.
Yeah, well, no,
and
then the council screwed that up. They shouldn't have handled it. They should.
But then maybe that person that does run gets on again. He'll have a foot in the door. If he runs and wins, he can run again.
Yeah, that's right. And maybe Andy will try to run again.
And the incumbent usually, has a good chance of winning.
Yeah.
So if somebody else, who knows who's going to run for it? Anybody could.
Oh, anybody could.
Yes,
that's right.
Yes. It's not a real good paying job.
You're talking me into it.
Yeah, you'd be good.
Actually, I was thinking about running for county attorney just so I could debate Daryl Driscoll.
He'd whip you.
He'd whip me, yeah, but it'd be fun to campaign. He'd take me.
Sure. He'd take you out in a minute.
Oh, well, he probably would, but I'd have fun campaigning.
He's a very.
I wasn't campaigning to win.
Okay.
I was campaigning to give Darren help.
Man, you ask him. We call him up and ask him a question, and man, he's got the answer in 5 minutes.
Well, sure he does.
I mean, he's a good attorney.
Darren's a good guy.
Yes, he is.
He's a good guy.
Really good.
But no, I was just going to have a little fun.
Yeah. Other than that, I don't know what we can talk about. Trails are going good. The trails to Badger will get put in next year.
Okay.
We're going to blacktop the road by my shed before I retire. That really needs it. That's been on the page for about 5 years, and 23 is when it's.
You got a blacktop out there?
Out by the shed, yeah.
You do?
The old experimental blacktop.
Okay.
That's going to get done.
Experimental blacktop. What are you talking about?
Well, in the 60s, when blacktop first started being, it was a gravel road, and then they experimented with different kinds of blacktop, and they did that road with experimental blacktop, and they worked with different kinds of blacktop for 10 years, 12 years. They blacktopped it, and then they'd try something different, and then try something different. So it was called the experimental blacktop.
See, this is why it's a bummer you're leaving.
So there's probably some of those places we got to dig up are probably 15 inches deep because there's all kinds of old blacktop down there.
Yeah. I used to do that. It's called milling when you mill up the old
and that's
blacktop.
what we'll do. We'll mill the whole thing up and start over again. And that'll make a nice road out of it because it really needs it. It gets a lot of truck traffic to to the mills, or not to the mills. Well, it gets a lot of mills traffic too, but to Cargill and CJ.
Oh, is that right?
Oh yeah, Vincent, Duncombe. Sometimes they go around that way.
Well, if that's what you got to have.
That's what we got to have. So,
yeah. Okay. So, are you going to take a vacation now that you're officially?
I doubt it. We
director?
just got back from vacation, so I probably won't take another one for a while.
Well, I was going to say, I don't know why you retired. You could have been like Bob Singer. He was always
that.
He was always on vacation.
Do you know Bob volunteers at the lake, Kennedy Park, every day?
Bob does.
Bob does. He's out there every day volunteering. He fixes picnic tables. He's just a handyman. Doesn't get paid. He's out there volunteering every day, fixing picnic tables, picking up stuff, working on stuff, helping, doing stuff.
Man his age.
Yep, cutting trees. I mean, yeah, he just every time he can get out there, he's out there.
Well, Bob's a good man.
Yes, he's a very good volunteer.
Haven't seen him in a long time now. Of course,
yeah, neither have I. He was fun on the board because he was always trying to get ahead of you in something. And then you had to get back at him. So it was always fun. It was always fun. We were always digging into each other. He'd do something and we'd do something back, and he'd do something.
Yeah. What Bob's got his seat, doesn't he? Bob Thoden.
Bob's got his seat for another 2 years.
Yeah.
Yep. And Bob, Mark, and Nick will run in 2 years.
Yeah. Mark will never get off that board. He'll be on that board forever.
I don't know. He might. He's got a lot going on at the State House now. He's chairman down at NACO. He's on NACO board. He's on this.
What's the NACO board?
National Association of Counties. He's on.
Well, he's got to be a county supervisor.
Well, yeah, but he's on that board. He's on the ISAC board. He's on the Gaming Commission board. He's
into that stuff.
Yeah, he's in a lot of boards, and he does good at all of them. But he's a busy guy.
Oh yeah.
I wouldn't want his. And he's chairman of the board, our board. So everything that comes up, he's got to deal with.
Yeah, but he thrives on that stuff.
I know.
He seems to be the type of guy.
But he's really a busy guy. I don't know how he does it, but he does a good job doing it. But I think he's ready to be off the chairman job.
You think so?
Yeah, I think he is.
Whose turn is it next?
They'll have to decide who, Nick or Nikki or Bob, one of those three.
Don't they? Isn't a rotation?
No,
thing?
we used to rotate. Every year it'd be the chairman and the vice chairman would do it. But the last 4 or 5 years, it was me and Mark.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. This is AM 1400 KBFT. Good afternoon. You're on the air. Hello.
Don't give us a hard question.
Yeah. Well, I didn't. Yeah.
Well, you didn't push the right button.
Well, I did push the right button, but
you hung up on him.
This
1970s equipment you got in here is a little antiquated.
This is a telesystem.
A
you know who sold
telesystem?
telesystem?
No.
Radio Shack.
Really?
Yeah.
I can see it's been around for a little bit.
It's been around for a while, yeah. Well, anyway.
Well, the light went off, but it didn't work.
No, it didn't. But maybe
try again.
All right. Try to. Let's see. Now it works.
Now it'll work.
Now it'll work. But maybe the people won't go back.
Well,
sometimes telemarketers call here.
Oh man. Sometimes when I'm not busy, I'll just sit and listen to them and ask them a whole bunch of questions about their life too.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I'll just go back and forth, and then go, well, maybe I'm not interested.
Oh yeah. Well, I had a.
There they are.
Oh, here we go. Well, what the hell? Come on now. See that many Christmas? See, I hit the button.
Hit the button and it cut them off. Sorry.
Try again. 955-1400.
Mike's doing his best.
I am. Here, let's try it. Here
it comes.
Slow. Hi, this is Mike. You're on the air.
One more time.
Yeah.
You got it.
You got it.
I just wanted to say Keith may be the doctor of fun, but he did a whale of a lot of good also.
I think you're right.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
There's no doubt. Well, he was determined to give you the compliment.
Well, that was nice.
That
I
was
appreciate
nice.
that. Yeah, sure nice. Yeah.
And he hung right in there.
Yeah.
Somebody else might have said,
yeah, heck with it. Yeah, I tried. I tried to give him some kudos.
I
didn't make it.
Doggone phone wouldn't work.
Well, at least we had somebody call in. I got one guy on my side.
All right. I'll have to have as soon as you're off the board of supervisors, I'll have to have a reunion of old supervisors.
A reunion? Yeah, that'd be fun. Singer would come in
Fletcher
for sure.
Clark
stopped in the other day.
Clark did?
Yeah, he stopped in.
Clark was a good man.
Yeah.
Clark was a good supervisor.
He's kind of helping them with the river project down there. I think he's got, trying to tell them where they should put some of the stuff. And he wished they would have talked to him a little quicker on where to put the fishing jetties. And, they're trying to build a new park down by the little dam. Well, we got plenty of parks already in Fort Dodge. You're going to put jetties along the river, do it up at Loomis or do it someplace where there already is a park.
That's
utilize those.
Clark showed the importance of having a man with a lot of business experience.
He was really good for business stuff, and he could talk to somebody. I mean, somebody could come in yelling at us and Clark would just sit there, calm and collective,
Yeah.
and talk it right down.
Yeah.
I mean, he could talk to the guy, and then when he left, the guy was satisfied. I
Yeah.
mean, it was just, he was a great guy for any situation.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mentioned before on the air in years past that he would start talking about a situation, and you could just see that he was envisioning the project in his
Yep.
mind, and it was all coming together, and
Yep.
he was explaining
He
it.
was-
He could explain things very well. too.
Knowledgeable about a lot of stuff.
Yeah, he was.
He was really a great
a
supervisor.
sharp guy. A sharp guy. Anyway,
Well, we're about
Keith,
done here.
Yeah, we are. I'll let you go. You're gonna no golf today.
No, I got what do we call it now? A CVB meeting, but now it's Visit Fort Dodge meeting.
Oh, we don't have a convention and visitors bureau anymore.
No, it's Visit Fort Dodge Bureau, I believe.
Visit Fort Dodge.
Yes, that's the name of it now, because that's what the email came. Was Visit Fort Dodge. So instead of CVB, we got Visit Fort Dodge, which is the same thing, but a different logo.
Dan Payne must be just wherever Dan is.
It was fun. You know, I was on the board when Dan was there, and he kept the meeting really lively.
Dan's a cool guy.
And-
Dan, he was a cool guy.
And he was loose-lipped too.
Yeah.
I don't know how he lasted as long as he did, because he didn't care what
Well,
he said.
though,
He was the type of guy get away with it.
but speaking plainly,
Yes.
and it's still a virtue in my mind. You know, now that we all have these little hall monitors who want to shake their little scolding finger in
Yeah.
our face if we don't speak exactly as they think we should. My response to them is kiss mine. Just kiss
Yeah,
it.
but he was always fun on the board. He always had
He's a
something
good
to say.
man.
Good guy.
Good man. All right.
Good
Thanks.
Marine.
Thanks. Yes, he was.
Yes.
Thanks
See you
a lot.
later.
Yep.
Michael Devine with breaking news and stimulating talk.
It's 3:27.
Hi, I'm Jim Funkin, Service Manager with Champion Chrysler in Rockwell City. Hey, Kyle, what's the
go to iowastandard.com. You really ought to check it out. I'll tell you, it's a great online source. And of course, Jake's getting to be a pretty regular guy on our program here, a pretty regular guest, and that's a good thing. So what did you think of the election last night there, Jake?
Yeah, I thought in Iowa it went about as expected. And then across the country, it a lot of eyebrow-raising results, especially from Pennsylvania, I think.
Yeah, Pennsylvania especially. Here we have a man who's legitimately brain damaged, you know?
Yeah.
This guy's brain damaged, and he's got a resume that's worse than mine, and that's saying something. I mean, the guy has done nothing in his life, lived off his parents into his 40s, and he's a U.S. senator.
Yeah, I mean, it just goes to show the American dream, I guess, is alive and well for anybody.
You know, I'm going to tell you something, Jake. You may not agree with me, but if Donald Trump would have kept his mouth shut and stayed out of this, there would have been a red tide. I mean,
I think it's really interesting because I do think that some of the candidates Donald Trump supported weren't good candidates, and I also think, Trump plays well in some states. But the bottom line is, I really do think 2024 realigned last night, considering what DeSantis did in Florida and the fact that Trump-backed candidates struggled in Georgia, Arizona, and Pennsylvania. And I think Georgia, Arizona, and Pennsylvania are the new Iowa, Ohio, and Florida.
Yeah. Well, he's going to take credit for J.D. Vance winning in Ohio.
Right.
He picked Mehmet Oz, who had he's a wealthy man and he's a well-known man, but there was a question of whether he was even living in Pennsylvania. You can't have somebody like that running in any state. People like to think that they're electing one of their own, except in New York, where Hillary Clinton was a carpetbagger, but that's a whole different story.
It tends to poll well, doesn't it, among the voters? To have
it does.
From their own state representing them.
Yes, it does. I mean, that's why we went. One of the reasons, hardly the only one, but one of the reasons we went with Chuck Grassley again, his incumbency was a big deal. Yeah. But Admiral Franken has been gone for most of his life.
Yeah. Well, and Franken, let's be honest. I mean, he surrendered any chance he had when he decided not to run to the middle, but instead to run to the extreme left. And I'll never understand for the life of me that decision.
Well, the big Democratic money demands that you do that. The big
that's true.
A lot of Democratic Party money that funds campaigns here in the Midwest comes from New York and California, and you better be on the transgender agenda if you're going to take money from those people. I'll tell you, because that's a big thing in California. It's just it's almost a requirement you be transgender in California.
Yeah, well, it's a very fluid situation anymore. Gender.
Mm-hmm.
The interesting thing in Iowa is just the fact that, until he decided he was not going to run for governor, he was going to run for auditor, Rob Sand was the biggest Democrat threat in this state. And then the Iowa Republican Party, for all intents and purposes, completely abandoned its auditor nominee, Todd Halber, who is only down a few thousand votes right now, but he was not on any of Governor Reynolds' bus tour stops. She never mentioned the auditor's race. And now Rob Sand is able, if he wins, to survive and say, "Hey, I withstood the red wave in Iowa. I am the Democrat future in the state of Iowa because Republicans had an axe to grind apparently with Todd Halber."
Well, frankly, I think it's deeper than that, Todd. The Republican leadership is terrible, both at the state and federal level. I mean, Kevin McCarthy has got all the charisma of mud.
And you know what? He's got about twice as much charisma as Mitch McConnell.
Yeah, he does. Get these guys out of leadership, will you? I mean, these people, Nancy Pelosi's talking about retiring. I mean, she's kind of hinted around, my husband got beat up by a radical right-wing extremist. No, he was just some kind of nudist activist. I mean, the guy was out of his mind. I mean, the Democrat...
out of his mind, but in his underwear. I don't know.
But Mitch McConnell, where were they this whole election cycle? I mean, Joe Biden's out getting lost and talking about 54 states and the whole thing. And
he's still trying to find his way off stage.
Yeah, he is. I mean, he's a doddering old man who gets cranked up and he starts yelling. And it makes good TV, I guess. But I didn't see McConnell or McCarthy or any of the big or Republicans out there at all.
No, McCarthy came to Iowa for Zach Nunn not too long ago, but I wrote in my email newsletter last week, I wrote about the same thing you're talking about, the Republican leadership at the national level. What does it inspire? What do you see those guys on TV talking about where you say, you know what, that is true, pure passion coming from those guys? Everything's political, nothing's passionate, and that's not going to attract voters.
So some of the big issues in conservative politics are inflation, of course, cultural, the twisting and destruction of our culture. And if you ask Mitch McConnell, the answer is tax cuts.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, it's all tax cuts. And, we got to fund Ukraine.
I'm okay with Ukraine. I know you and other guys don't want to do that. Why don't you want to fund Ukraine?
There's a lot of things that we could probably fund here in America, and I don't know that Ukraine needs the constant funding. It just doesn't go well when American families are struggling and inflation is what it is, and we continue to cut into our own supply of ammunition for our military to where it is now at 40-year lows because we sent a bunch of it to Ukraine.
We need to crank up the defense industry.
Right.
Really?
Well, there's a lot of Republicans who will like that.
Yes, they would, and a lot of Democrats too, and a lot of working people who need the jobs. I mean, Trump did something, but mainly we've been in decline as far as our overall defense anyway. And somebody like Putin, and especially the Chinese, they watch us. Putin did this because he thinks we're weak, and everything he's seen so far is he's right. I mean, his army turned out to be a bunch of losers, but that doesn't mean he won't keep sending him until they ground Ukraine into the ground. I mean, he's taken Crimea, Georgia, now Ukraine. I mean, he's in Central Europe. Our European allies would like to see us do more than just sit around and posture.
Yeah, I think that's part of the problem is that you're either all in or you're all out. It seems like right now we're just kind of there. and I don't think people are comfortable with the billions and billions of dollars that we keep sending over there. I don't think people trust where that money goes and what it's used for. And there are some people that have concerns with the Ukrainian government's own corruption. So it's all a mess, and I'm glad it's over there and not over here because we're too busy trying to figure out what a boy and what a girl is. I'd hate for us to try to figure out how to fight a war at this point.
How we must look to the rest of the world, to the Islamists and the Chinese. We can't figure out what a boy and girl is. It's just absolutely pathetic. You got anything else on that front? Any other strange things happening in our state? The one good thing happened, the real good thing that happened in our state is there's no reason now not to crack down on these teachers. I mean, Jake Chapman might have gotten beat because the Democrats made a big deal in that district. That's kind of a liberal district anyway.
Yeah, that's what I think too, Mike. I just think that is now a Democrat district. That's the reality of the situation, and it is what it is. But you have to look at last night as a green light to go ahead on school choice, on parental rights and education. And I think the most concerning thing I've heard the last 2 weeks is the new executive director of the Iowa Medical Board is a guy named Dennis Tibbin, who was a lobbyist for the Medical Society, or American Academy of Pediatrics, and a previous worker at Planned Parenthood. And this is a guy who opposed the bathroom bill, opposed protecting women's sports, opposed all the medical freedom stuff during COVID vaccine mandates and masking. There's a lot of concern that he is now the executive director of the Iowa Medical Board.
Well, it's the administrative state. The
bureaucratic.
It's bureaucrats, unelected, unanswerable bureaucrats affecting our lives. The greatest favor the Supreme Court ever did was the Dobbs decision. They did not outlaw abortion.
Correct.
They said essentially a court doesn't have a right to make this decision. we're going to return this decision to the people of the United States. And the Democrats just lost their minds. You return it to the people of the United States, but they're scum. That's
I put on Facebook this morning, imagine being a voter and telling someone your top concern is climate change. And then somebody upped me and said, well, imagine being a voter and telling them that your number one concern is that your daughter has the right to kill your grandchild.
There you go.
Before it's born.
I did tell you that one of our city council members is a member of Satan's Temple, didn't I?
Yeah, I heard. We talked about that last time.
Did we?
I still haven't gotten my invite to worship at the Satan's Temple, but I have been checking the mail. I'm sure it's just a oversight of the postal office that I haven't gotten that invitation yet.
Well, the Satan's Temple people are suing Oklahoma. Oklahoma has Oklahoma City has a huge plaque outside their hall of the Ten Commandments. Now, the Satanic Temple has offered to donate its statue of Baphomet, which is a pagan idol, with a ram's head and horns and the whole thing. You know, it has a male chest, but God, do you think Baphomet could be transgender? Probably so.
You got to remember, it could be one of any 57 genders at this point. And
is there 57 now? 46 was the last total I heard.
Yeah, I think it's gone up to 57 here. It's sailing by at a record pace lately.
This is the death of right and wrong. This is the ultimate goal of these people who occupy the Democratic Party. They're at war with the concept of right and wrong, male and female, light and day, dark and light. They are at war.
Oh, and here's the scary part, Mike. I was going through Twitter and I saw on Sean Foyt's Twitter feed, according to him, I don't know where he got this number, but I believe it. Gen Z voted for Democrats plus 28 points. So when you consider they are the future of this country and they favored Democrats by 28 points, what that looks like for our country, we really need people to stop sending their kids to public schools and public universities.
Oh, absolutely. You know, I was watching Jennifer Conference last night. I usually watch WHO news out of Des Moines, and one of the reporters was interviewing Jennifer Conference. And of course, Jennifer Conference, again, a Democratic leader, said, you know, the next campaign starts tomorrow morning. I went, oh, God. But anyway, what she did say, you know, she said, one of the things that Democrats have to do is keep warning of the terrible danger of private school vouchers. Terrible danger of private school vouchers. Yowzer. I know you sent me that thing about Mike Sexton that the ISA, the Iowa...
the teachers union.
The teachers union was saying thanks to Mike Sexton. But, you know, and Mike and other rural legislators, they're a little concerned about school vouchers. But I've talked with Governor Reynolds a couple of times about that. And I've even mentioned Sexton to her. And she said, you know, we're going to get it worked out. She said it's going to happen probably this next session. So I look forward to that. And,
well, they have 65 House Republicans now, so it's pretty tough to envision that they're still not going to have the votes. But I've heard from some that it's going to be close.
Well, they're looking out for their rural schools. It's a tough one for rural legislators. They don't want their kids on a bus for an hour every day, one way, to go to school. So, you know, Governor Ray, we should be smart enough to figure this out, aren't we, Jake?
I'd like to think so. It's interesting to sit and listen to the education lobby and Democrats during subcommittee hearings on this idea, because in one breath they tell you how great public schools are, but then in the very next breath they say if parents have a choice to leave, they're going to get out of there the first chance they get. Well, both of those things can't be true.
You're right, it can't. You know, Deandra DeJour, right up to the day of the election, was saying we need to ensure that educators get paid what their education and experience requires. And I thought to myself again, how much money is an undergraduate degree in social studies really worth on the open market today?
Yeah.
It's not, or an undergraduate degree in history or general science or any of those things. You take those degrees. I was talking with Brooke Bickford, our news director, the other day. She took women's studies courses. I mean, her degree was in journalism, but she took women's studies courses. And I asked her what was taught, and she just said, "Well, feminism."
Yeah.
So, if you have this degree, let's see you do something with it. If you're not afraid, if you're just going to leave the profession, and that's what we're hearing all the time. Oh, educators are leaving the profession. Oh, really? Where are they going? Really?
Yeah.
They're going into real estate sales. That's what God needs. That's God. God wants us to have more real estate salesmen.
Yeah. Well, it's either that or telemarketers.
Bartenders. I go through a lot of bartenders. I have in my life.
Yeah. It's a concerning time, I think, when you look at the education system, because what it's churning out and what it's producing isn't something that bodes well for the future of our country. And I think we can all agree on that, those of us that are on the right side of the political spectrum, at least.
How's your paper doing, the Iowa Standard? Are you making a living? We want to keep you going up there.
Yeah, we're surviving. People who are interested can become supporters. We always appreciate that. You can go to theiowastandard.com. And if you're interested in supporting, we're on Venmo at Iowa-Standard-2018. We're on PayPal too. We got our own app. It's going pretty well. The reach is a little bit down because Facebook cares so desperately about our democracy, but they want to show people less political news. They want a less educated electorate, because apparently that's how you show you care about democracy. So we're trying to overcome that, and slowly but surely we are, and we'll just keep putting the truth out there and letting people know where people stand on various issues.
Mark Zuckerberg is the living embodiment of naked greed. That's it.
Oh, yeah.
That's just, he doesn't care about democracy or any of these things. Money, honey. That's all Mark Zuckerberg cares about.
Yeah. And, we kind of have ourselves to blame because of all the tax credits we gave these big tech companies when they decided to come to Iowa. And then, there were a lot of Republicans who celebrated that like it was a great thing. But the people that work for these companies aren't often voting Republican.
Never, as a matter of fact. And they're really mad over at Twitter now because Elon Musk is actually running the place like a business. Hi, I'm going to take this company over, make it better, and I'm going to cut all you useless staff members, and I'm going to charge for the service.
It's a tough lesson in capitalism.
It is.
People that probably don't know much about it.
They don't. All these things should be free. We should be free to get on Twitter and cry and threaten and then play.
I mean, AOC having a coronary about $8 a month to have her blue check mark. That kind of takes the cake.
She got reelected last night. Her and Ilhan Omar both. We ought to deport Ilhan Omar.
Yeah, well, they say misery loves company, so I guess the voters of that district are choosing someone that represents them best.
I guess so. We did the same. Thank God.
Yeah.
Jake Halls with the Iowa Standard paper. Yeah, become a supporter. IowaStandard.com. Thank you, Jake, for being on.
Mike, thanks for giving me time.
Oh, absolutely. This is AM 1400 KVFD, the voice for Dutch.
Be thinking about food safety ahead of the Thanksgiving holiday. I'm Amy Simpson with Healthy Living on Brownfield. The U.S. Department of Agriculture is reminding people to avoid foodborne illnesses during a Thanksgiving meal. People can do that by following food safety steps, including chilling food items in a timely manner. When it comes to thawing the turkey ahead of America's biggest meal, there are some things to keep in mind. The USDA says to never thaw turkey in hot water or leave it on the countertop. There are 3 ways to safely thaw a turkey. Turkey can be safely thawed in a refrigerator. Allow about 24 hours for every 4 to 5 pounds of turkey. After thawing, a turkey is safe in a refrigerator for 1 to 2 days. Another way to thaw a turkey is in cold water. The cold water thawing method will thaw the turkey faster, but will require more attention. The USDA says when thawing in a cold water bath, Allow 30 minutes per pound and submerge the turkey in its original wrapping to avoid cross-contamination. The water should be changed every 30 minutes until the turkey is thawed, and then the turkey must be cooked immediately after thawing. The final method is in cold water and in a microwave. It's important to note that to thaw a turkey that fits in the microwave, follow manufacturer's recommendations. Although it's safe to cook a completely frozen turkey, it will take at least 50% longer to fully cook. I'm Amy Simpson with Healthy Living on Brownfield.
Adopt US Kids presents What to Expect When You're Expecting a Teenager. Learning the lingo.
GOAT, G-O-A-T, acronym, stands for Greatest of All Time. As in, spaghetti sandwiches for dinner? They're my fave. Dad, you're the GOAT.
You don't have to speak teen to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same. Visit adoptuskids.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
All across the country, people are coming together to speed up what we can learn about health. The All of Us Research Program is calling on 1 million people to join us as we try to change the future of health. For your family, for future generations, for all of us. Visit joinallofus.org and find out how you can become 1 in a million.
Need a good reason to take an art class at the Blandin? Well, here's 4. Art enhances fine motor skills, problem-solving skills, complex analysis, and creative thinking skills. The Blandin offers weekday art classes for adults as well as an after-school art program for kids. They have something for all ages and all levels. They'll meet you wherever you are. The Blandin is excited to work with the next generation of artists. Go to blandin.org or visit their Facebook page for dates, times, and classes. The Blandin Art Museum, Fort Dodge.
Pelham Waters, your water pro since 1949.
Do you have questions about your water? What is a whole home filter? Is my softener working or not? Can I get rid of that red stain around the sink? I'm Brian with Blue Ribbon Pelham Waters. We're here to fix problem water. We'll work with you to find the right solution for you. We've been serving the Fort Dodge area since 1949. Let us serve your water treatment needs. Sales, service, rentals. Blue Ribbon Pelham Waters, your complete water store.
Easily transform your home with attractive storage options from Dakota. Looking to add a touch of color or blend seamlessly with your decor? Dakota shelving comes in multiple sizes and finishes to match any style. Whether you need extra storage or want to add an accent to your living space, you can count on Dakota. Save 11% on all Dakota shelving at Menards. Good through November 13th. Savings are mail-in rebate. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
Save big money at Menards.
We've done it again. NK Seeds is still the fastest growing seed brand. NK outperformed the competition, and we have the numbers to prove it. Across 48 trials in Iowa, NK 25C9XF out-yielded Asgrow products by an average 1.5 bushel per acre advantage. Bushels don't lie. Get more local yield results at nkseeds.com/harvest.
Straight talk on life and money. This is the Dave Ramsey Show on the voice of Fort Dodge, AM 1400, KVFD, Fort Dodge.
He calls it a good day for America. I'm Steve Rappaport, Fox News.
Our democracy has been tested in recent years, but with their votes, the American people have spoken and proven once again that democracy is who we are.
President Biden reflecting on the day after the midterm elections.
The states across the country saw record voter turnout. And the heart and soul of our democracy, the voters, the poll workers, the election officials, they did their job and they fulfilled their duty.
Control of Congress remains too close to call, and it could take weeks to resolve a pivotal Senate race in Georgia as incumbent Raphael Warnock and Republican challenger Herschel Walker head for a runoff. Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger.
Early voting must begin no later than Monday, November 28th in all counties. We do anticipate that some counties may likely have Saturday voting following Thanksgiving, as well as on November 26th.
RNC Chair Ronna McDaniel says it's all hands on deck to help Walker win.
I hope Governor Kemp is campaigning with him and every surrogate we can bring in around the country to show the importance of why we need to win this seat.
Republicans need to flip 2 seats to take back the chamber. Wall Street takes a post-election beating.
Markets falling ahead of Thursday's highly anticipated inflation report. The Dow down 646 points. The S&P off by 79. The Nasdaq lower by 263. Trader and investor anxiety stoked by uncertainty in the election results as key races remained undecided. And it doesn't help that earnings are disappointing. Disney's lower than expected results pushing down its shares more than 12%. And other streamers, including Roku and Warner Brothers, trading lower as well.
The Fox Business Network's Jerry Willis. America is listening to Fox News.
This view was worth a hike.
Right? And it's a good way to stay on top of my health.
Yes, I'm Cologuard, a prescription colon cancer screening option for people 45 plus at average risk. Have you screened for colon cancer?
Not yet.
Don't wait. It's more treatable when caught in early stages.
Tell me more.
Cologuard is non-invasive and it's used at home. It detects altered DNA in your stool to find 92% of colon cancers.
92%?
Yep, even those in early stages.
This was seen in a clinical study with patients 50 and older. Any positive result should be followed by a diagnostic colonoscopy. False positive and negative results may occur. Cologuard is not a replacement for colonoscopy in high-risk patients. Do not use if you have had adenomas, have inflammatory bowel disease and certain hereditary syndromes, or a personal or family history of colon cancer.
Most insured patients pay $0. Ask your provider or an online prescriber if Cologuard is right for you, or visit Cologuard.com.
I'm in.
Who says red states and blue states can't find a common groove?
Maryland and Missouri becoming the newest states to legalize recreational marijuana, meaning 21 states have now approved recreational use for cannabis. While the legalization was a big win for marijuana advocates, Arkansas and North Dakota voters rejected similar proposals. South Dakota also had legalization on the ballot, but the votes are still being tallied. Some see it as a sign of the public's changing opinion on the drug, as President Joe Biden recently made efforts to decriminalize marijuana. Last month, the president announced the pardoning of thousands of U.S. citizens convicted of simple possession of marijuana under federal law. Ryan Schmelz, Fox News.
Floridians anticipate rain and flooding as a tropical storm approaches.
Southeast Florida's coastline is under watches and warnings for a tropical storm or hurricane with the coming of Nicole. Rain, wind, and storm surge will be a concern, and some lower-lying areas like beaches and islands are already under evacuation recommendations. Sandbag distribution is underway. People are scurrying about to buy up fuel, food, and water.
Fox's Evan Brown in Tampa. Which stars will shine bright on country music's biggest night?
The 56th annual CMA Awards will be hosted by Luke Bryan and NFL football star Peyton Manning. This year, the show will bring to the stage multiple celebrities as well as country performers. Taking the stage, the brothers Osborne, Miranda Lambert, who continues as the most nominated female artist of all time with 61 nominations. Brandy Clark, Dierks Bentley, and Jimmy Allen.
I got a heart.
Lainey Wilson tops this year's nominees list with 6. Ashley McBride, Carly Pierce, Chris Stapleton, and songwriter and producer Shane McAnally follow with 5 nominations each. The ceremony airs live from Nashville on ABC at 8 Eastern.
Fox's Michelle Polino. I'm Steve Rappaport, and this is Fox News.
Your news, your town, your station. KVFD News when it breaks.
America's longest-serving attorney general was defeated on Tuesday night by Republican Brenna Byrd. For Alpha Media News, I'm Brooke Bickford. Democrat Tom Miller, who is 78 years old, says that he's not sure what's next for him.
It's been a great run.
Also defeated on Tuesday was State Treasurer Mike Fitzgerald. He was beat by a margin of 51 to 49% by Roby Smith. Republican incumbents Paul Pate, the Secretary of State, and the Secretary of Agriculture, Mike Naig, were the top vote getters as they easily won their re-elections. Republicans scored clear wins on Tuesday night in the 1st, 2nd, and 4th congressional districts in Iowa. The 4th district winner, Republican incumbent Randy Feenstra of Hull, won with 67% of the vote.
The voters look at what has done the last 2 years, and they understand that they need somebody that has a loud voice. You know, when I think of our agriculture community, our small businesses and our families, they need somebody that can have a seat at the table and get things done for them, not for the people around the nation, but for Iowans.
Feenstra's Democratic opponent, Ryan Melton of Nevada, says he woke up feeling invigorated, and getting 30% of the vote was a solid result considering all of the variables, including the fact that the district has 95,000 more Republicans than Democrats. Iowans approved adding a gun right amendment to Iowa's Constitution in the election. The strict scrutiny amendment needed a simple majority to pass. Iowa is now the fourth state with strict scrutiny. It is now considered a fundamental right on the same level as freedom of speech and religion. The votes have been counted, and a new Republican will be moving into the seat formerly held by Keith Denclaw on the Webster County Board of Supervisors. First-time candidate Austin Hike won on Tuesday night with a final vote of 1,957.
My campaign has been a lot around, being in our communities, being a part of our communities.
In District 4, it's another 4 years for Democratic incumbent Nikki Conrad.